Hey guys, this is John with the Auto Channel Update for Friday, June 21st, 2024. And today we have the conclusion of this story, Conan 154. And today is not just the cover, but also the interior by Gary Kwapisz. And I believe this is his first interior. And yesterday we had just a cover by Gary, but today we have full interior. And look at this splash page. He really put some effort into that. He probably thought it was going to be right here where Marvel put in this page by J. Christopher Owlsley about Caesar's commentaries. And the headline caught my eye, and we're going to talk about this at the end, but I don't want to let it ruin the beginning of this amazing story. Look at the girl up here. Gary Kwapisz is really doing everything. He's putting forth everything he's got. I love these monsters. Here we have Conan on the cover standing on the monster's head. Sort of like, the Holy Mother in Catholic stuff where she's always standing on the snake's face. And he jumps onto another dragonfly, so this is awesome. The Hawk Girl and the Dragonfly people were working together against these bat-winged people. And this is our obligatory flashback. And then now Conan's dragonfly gets murdered by one of the Hawkmen soldiers. The Hawk Girl, her name is Alhambra. She's been wounded. But we quickly cut to the wizard, the evil wizard of this episode, who is stealing a glowing golden rod, a magenta glowing golden rod, that powers the border fence for the angel people, which is where Conan is now. He's meeting the angel-winged king. The wizard is meeting the demon, and he's trying to sell them the rod that protects the angel-wing homeland. And the angel-wing homeland, the rod only charges it, so it's not quite vulnerable yet. This is just a crazy story. Roy Thomas wouldn't have done this. This is Michael Fleischer. And this is a cartoon. This is Thundar the Barbarian. This is a Saturday morning cartoon. If this had been done by Roy Thomas, these would have been warring tribes, like Stygians versus Aquilonians versus Cimmerians versus Hyperboreans, Aesir and Vanir, that sort of thing. But because this is just full-on cartoon, these are like the bad guys out of Voltron. This is like Tarzan, Fleischer, was it Fleischer? No, Michael Fleischer wrote this. Spiegel and Schuster and Spiegel's Tarzan. That he met all kinds of people living in sub-Saharan Africa, like all kinds of villages and space people and little kingdoms. Conan here is fighting the angel guys, fighting the Batwing guys on an eagle that has never been ridden before. Conan is powerful enough to ride it. This is total cartoon. He gets attacked by the Batwing guys, who are the bad guys. Also, the big difference between good and bad in this is who keeps their word. If Conan is hired to do a job, he sees it through, even if it's wrong, and then he'll come back later and betray whoever it was that made him do the wrong thing. Sometimes he'll do it in the moment, but usually he'll see it through. Here he gets captured by the bad guys. Whereas the bad guys betray you immediately. For example, right back here, the daughter of the villains is talking all sweet to the wizard, and then vampire bites his neck. So, wizard can't trust, the villains can't trust each other. King Wizard now has the rod of power. Conan gets taken captive, and then the daughter's going to torture him down here. She's, let me have him. Sort of like Ming the Merciless's daughter. The parallels are hilarious. So she wants to get some. Conan's not having it. Breaks loose and ties her up. Damn thoughts. It never changes, right? Sorry. Conan goes after the main bad guys here. This is just a little bit of exploration. Fights them, steals the wizard's waiting dragonfly, climbs out of this window down here. This is awesome. He climbs out of this window, and these guys watch him. He steals the waiting dragonfly to escape. He returns the gold bar they have another fight. Alhambra rescues Conan. Alhambra returns from the dead. She hasn't been around for almost this entire issue. She returns from the dead. There's so much, they packed so much into the last few pages, and then the last panel is the end. And it ends abruptly. The only thing left is an ad for Doctor Strange, but they had to solve like so much stuff in one issue. Because the last issue, they just made it bigger and awesome. And then this issue, they had to crunch it all down. Rising and descending action, I was hearing someone do a review of another comic recently. So this is awesome. Conan this is where it got, I don't want to say it hit its stride, because obviously the early stuff was amazing. The fantasy stuff was amazing. This is sci-fi fantasy. This has magic tech that no one can explain. So, Conan's just incredible. I can't say enough good stuff about these books. Oh, I did want to talk about follow through, and we are going to get back to J. Christopher Owsley right here, who does this fill-in page where he talks about how Larry Hama. Okay, so by this issue 54, Larry Hama is the editor, and he's away at a convention. So this Joker, J. Christopher Owsley, takes it upon himself to talk about the required reading for wannabe Conan writers. He's done away with the letters page this month, and he's putting up Caesar's commentaries on the Gallic Wars and what he thinks of Anna Karenina and Larry Hama's list of required reading. Now, we all know Larry Hama's name because he did G.I. Joe, and because he's a genius, and because he put a lot of effort and love into it. J. Christopher Owsley. Now, I have read Caesar's commentaries, and I listen to it regularly on an audiobook because it's awesome. There's a lot you can learn from Caesar. But this guy, J. Christopher Owsley, takes it upon himself to bash Caesar's commentaries and says he uses it as a desk stop to keep his desk balanced, and it's not worth reading, and you don't have to do that. And that's why you'll never know his name, and his name is not associated with any great work. I don't know if he's got 2 novels posted on his page. I'd surely love to read them. You should absolutely read Caesar's commentaries and the Iliad. You should know all about the Belgae and the Subutai, and the Subutai is a character in Conan. The Belgae and the Helvetii, where the Helvetica font comes from in Germany. So there's a lot you should know. There's a lot you should read in the old stuff. You absolutely should. There's a few things I want to talk about with this in addition to that. And I'm a little bit disjointed today and rambling because I'm shooting this a second time and remembering all of it at once. But this poking fun at your bosses and saying that the drills they want you to do, the practice that they want you to do is not necessary. Now, when you're up against writing like this, right? When you're up against this fantastic writing, this Edward Bulwer Lytton, The Coming Race sort of stuff, where there's constantly new bad guys introduced or new threats. So like the Hawk people were only introduced in the last issue when the girl revealed her wings. This is 2 issues. I don't know what I'm talking about more than that. This all started with the last issue when Conan rode into town and his horse fell off that bridge. So in 2 issues, they've packed in quite a lot that I swear to God, I think Roy Thomas would have just done with competing villages, competing feudal tribes, and maybe one monster per tribe. Whereas these are tribes of monsters. And that's a different sort of 50s thing. You saw it a lot in those old sci-fi movies. When one group of heroes and a new group that weren't necessarily villains encountered each other, and they were going to fight, a third group would come in who would be either villain or hero, and the hero group, your main group, the explorers, would have to side with one group against the other 2. It's all like Yojimbo, or the Sergio Leone version is Fistful of Dollars, where you have 2 gangs and Clint Eastwood comes in as a lone guy. Conan is the lone guy. He comes in between 3 gangs in this one though, because you have the dragonfly people, the wing people, and then the batwing people, and they're 2 different sets. The humans rode the dragonflies, and then the wing people they were fighting, and the Batwing people were fighting the wing people. Is all kind of nonsense. So that's awesome, but it was really cool to see Gary Kwapisz's work. And one thing I wanted to talk about was follow through in a lot of these covers and a lot of these pages. So here you have this girl laying out completely. Alhambra is her name. She's wounded or dead, or I think that's a girl getting a suntan as a reference drawing. And then you have Conan fighting the monster. Here the follow through is a little bit more deliberate. It's sort of straight up and down. But that is something, follow through in a drawing is incredibly important, and I'm going to apply that or relate that to the stuff. Now this one, so follow through here is a little bit different. This is the Wildwood Tarot for today. And here's the hooded man on the book, the box in the book. Today we have the King of Arrows, the Kingfisher. And this is more of an as above, so below type thing, where it feels like it's upside down because the lake is reflecting the sky. And you see this more with I Ching sort of stuff, where you have a mountain above fire or fire above water or that sort of thing. But this is interesting. It doesn't have a lot of follow through. Follow through is one of the things I've been working on in my own stuff. And I'm going to relate that to something I was talking about yesterday. For anyone new seeing this for the first time, I'm working on these seven sort of principles that I use to do my work. The most important things for writing, for art. I don't know I suppose it would apply to songwriting, but it definitely applies to me for illustration and plot development, character development. One, when I sit down to work, I need to do it with a clear conscience. I can't be bothered about all the other stuff going on around. And whatever that costs, it's worth it. Whatever it costs to get a clear conscience, time, effort, money, it's priceless. Get that before you do your work. Then when you get into doing the work, try to do it with spending as little money as possible. Compress your tools. I've been working on compressing my tools. Compress your tools as much as you can. I was working with blue pencil and regular pencil that you sharpen with an extender. The extender I've found is everything for me because that gives me the ability to hold the pencil really far back from the end. And now I'm using that with a mechanical pencil, and I'm not using blue at all. Doing it with compressing your tools is really, really helpful. It's been really helpful for me. And then love the work. Love doing the work. And if you don't love doing the work, find the right tools, clear your conscience, get to a place where you love doing the work, because that will always come through. So those three are kind of necessary in that order. The tools can affect your love of the work. Once you love doing the work, then you have to get into the hard part. And that's where I use, lately I've been using this thing, virtues as values. So I have these angels. In the story I'm working on, they guard the north, south, east, and west gates of Angel City. But regardless, virtues as values is just a little thing that I use to get me over. So once I'm loving the work and I get to a writing gap or a drawing gap, the drawing gaps I'm working on right now are all about follow through. That's been I'm struggling with composition. Not struggling, but in composition, follow through seems like a really important thing to me. So this one has got the mom looking at the fish is looking at the skaters, the daughter and the son are looking at the skaters, the dog's looking at the skaters, these are the skaters coming down the sidewalk. So that's going to open up as a gatefold cover. And I know I'm doing a really cringe version of showing this off to you guys, and it needs to be a lot better done. And it will be, but I've got a lot going on this weekend. So using virtues as values for the story, and then using all the things that are necessary for composition, but really follow through is the biggest one when you're creating an image. After that, you have everything for the panels, line weight, rendering, expression. All those are super important. When you get out further than that, go to nature for inspiration. So these are the obstacles I'm coming up against, right? In plot development, virtues as values. Follow through is completely important. Nature for inspiration. Do it without an agenda, because if you write an agenda into your stuff, the only agenda I'm finding in Conan is keep your word, which is really kind of awesome. The good people keep their word, do whatever they can to keep their word. The villains break their word at the earliest opportunity. So that's beautiful. No agenda, that's pure, that's honest. And then if you love doing it, the doing it becomes the destination. For me, getting up and doing this every day I live for this. I'm so happy. Get to this place where you're super happy. That's all I can hope for everybody. So, like I mentioned, I'm doing this a couple times today, and I've got a lot going on. So, all right, I hope everyone has a great weekend. Talk to you tomorrow or Sunday. I may not be in tomorrow. We'll see what happens. All right, bye guys.